Hey everyone, this is Craig Pelkey. I'm the Director of Ectotherms here at the San Antonio Zoo, and it's a nice sunny day out here, so I'm taking one of my ectotherms out for a little walk. This here is Max. Max is our 1.5-year-old Komodo Dragon. This is just his second time outside, and he is thoroughly enjoying that lovely San Antonio sunshine. You can see him doing his crazy little crawl over here. I don't know why he does that, but it's usually a sign that he feels good, and I know he's got to be loving that sunshine. Oh, and he's decided he doesn't like other zoo staff, so we're going to go this way. Might be looking for higher ground. That's kind of normal for a kid. Young Komodo dragons up to their first year or two, they spend a lot of their time up in the treetops where it's safe. So seeing a bunch of green shirts over there, it was probably a little too much for him. He wants to get a little higher vantage point, and he can assess what's going on better. Now, Max here, he hatched about 1.5 years ago. It was actually on Halloween Day of 2018. And he's got 3 brothers. At least we're pretty sure they're 3 brothers. We're actually doing some testing right now with their genetics to find out if there's brothers or sisters. Either way, it's going to be very cool, whatever comes out. Because if they are truly all brothers, it's most likely because they were conceived through parthenogenesis, which is a fancy word for virgin birth. No father was involved. Now, if we do have a female in the group, so perhaps Max has a sister, maybe Max is a Maxine, for all we know, that's going to tell us that there was a father involved. But the other aspect of it's going to tell us that there was possibly a record as far as data for stored sperm. So a lot of science could be coming out with those test results in the near future. Very exciting about it. He's hearing a lot of activity out here. There's a vehicle just around the corner there, so that's got his attention. These are very intelligent animals. They're very perceptive. They got great vision. They got an incredible sense of smell, great hearing. They're kind of the perfect package. Like now we got another golf cart coming, so it's a very good test for him to get introduced to all kinds of things going on here at the San Antonio Zoo. Despite being closed, we're still a very busy place. It takes a lot of people to take care of this zoo on a daily basis. Now you may notice that Max here has some beautiful coloration on when you look up close. He's got beautiful yellows, oranges mixed in with the browns and blacks. He's slowly going to be losing all this coloration. In fact, he's going to eventually turn primarily just a nice color brown. There's still going to be some highlights of yellow and orange. Oh, he's getting up really close. He's enjoying Cat's shoes that have been all over in other departments. Some great stimulus for him. You see, he's got an incredible tongue. It's a forked tongue. And these forked tongues are incredible. First of all, it helps them smell in stereo. So it's forked, so if he's picking up the smell of something stronger on the right side than the left side, he could tell that, and if he's tracking something, then he'll start to go to the right. And same with the left side. It's an incredible sense of smell. Picks up just about anything. You know, we think about dogs having a great sense of smell. Dragons and snakes with that forked tongue, their sense of smell is far superior to even a dog. In fact, if we can someday teach these guys how to work for us in the airports and other types of security, it'd be incredible. They'd be much more effective than dogs. We haven't gotten there yet, though.
Craig, a couple of people are asking how old he is.
Great question. How old is Max? Max is roughly 1.5 years. He hatched on Halloween Day, October 31st in 2018. He's really enjoying the sunshine. I'm going to see if I can pull some skin off. He's shedding a little bit. And unlike snakes, these guys shed in strips and blotches all over the place. And I'm going to see if I can get a piece here. I don't know if he does. They usually, for some reason, dragons don't like having you touch their thighs. He's being pretty good about it right now. Seemed a little sensitive. Thought I saw one on his throat, though.
It's right under his chin.
Can I help you here? Oh, yep. Yep, got a little piece there. Yeah, they kind of shed in blotches. And this guy obviously has a lot of growing to do, especially if he does turn out to be the boy that we think he is. He could grow to be somewhere between 8 to 10 feet long. Could be anywhere between 125 to 200 pounds. That's just average there. He's got a lot of growing to do. Once they get to that size, they will not be doing as much climbing as our boys do right now at the 1.5 year of age. They're going to start spending a heck of a lot more time on the ground. One of the reasons they spend all that time in the trees is because, as a kid, they instinctively know that they are very, very low on the food chain. Lots of things in their native range in Indonesia will eat a baby dragon. Even other dragons. So as soon as they hatch out, they get their bearings and they head up into the trees. And they spend their first year or two up in the trees. They eat a lot of insects, birds, eggs, lizards, whatever they can find and consume. They're not too picky. And once they get some nice size on them, they start gravitating towards the ground, and eventually it becomes more physically challenging to stay up in the canopy, so they kind of have to come down to the ground. But along with that size comes confidence and bigger prey items. It's very curious now. This is a whole big world he hasn't had a chance to experience yet. Our adult dragons that spend a lot of time outside, they thoroughly enjoy it. In fact, sometimes they enjoy the wildlife here at the zoo as well. One of our dragons who recently moved to the Denver Zoo, Tiga, she had been known to enjoy lots of wildlife like rock squirrels. She also enjoyed the black vultures. These guys are big time predators. They don't miss an opportunity. Our little guys here, they eat a whole variety of things here at the zoo. We give them rats, mice, they get beef parts. They also get quail and chicks. Boy, something smells good. This is where the squirrels hang out. So I think he's really excited right now. Tiga was his mother, so maybe he's inherited her hankering for all things wildlife. That's a big tree. I'm going to have to move you over here, buddy. There we go. I don't know about you guys, but this is pretty cool to me. I have been in love with Komodo dragons since I was 4 years old. And to think that in my adult life I can actually take one for a walk is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. And it's kind of neat that Max is so excited to be out here too. Yeah, he's thoroughly investigating this. We have a lot of squirrel action here. Since we've been closed, our squirrels have been going through withdrawal. There's no one here dropping popcorn for them. So our squirrels have been very active, and they've been hitting our planted pots pretty hard. And I'm betting our horticulture department would really enjoy having more Komodo dragons running around, keeping the squirrels away from their plants.
Caitlin has a question. She would like to know if they can produce through parthenogenesis, are they hermaphroditic?
No, that's not necessarily a sign of being hermaphroditic. In fact, Komodo dragons, if they are produced via parthenogenesis, they will all come out as males. It's very interesting with some species when they are produced parthenogenically. We had a white-spotted bamboo shark produced here a couple years ago at the zoo parthenogenically, and all of them, all those shark species, when they are produced that way, are all female. And of course, probably the most interesting to me parthenogenic species we have here is our desert grassland whiptails. There is no such thing as a male desert grassland whiptail in the world. It's all females. So when they produce, they always produce a female. It's an exact clone of mom. And they're actually, it's such a successful strategy that there just simply are no boys there. He wants to get in trouble there. I'm going to move him back here on the path here. You can see he's a very relaxed dragon. His brothers aren't necessarily the same. They're curious. You can work around them. But for some reason, Max here is just incredibly outgoing, relaxed. And just this opportunity to walk him around, this is pretty much his choice. He's been shown to enjoy this, so we're just seeing where it takes us. We don't know what the final plan is. We're investigating, and he's allowing us, and he seems to be enjoying it, so we'll just keep on going from there. Imagine it'll be pretty interesting someday if he starts to get to that adult size that we can still take him for walks.
A few people would like to know how fast they are and why his tail is so long.
Those are great questions about how fast can he go. Honestly, I'm not sure as far as miles per hour, kilometers per hour. I do know I'm very fortunate I have a harness on him and a leash with some integrity. Because if he takes off, it's going to be much faster than me. Now, as the other question was, help me, Kat, what was that other?
Why is his tail so long?
That's a great question. I'm glad someone brought that up about why is his tail so long? Come here, buddy. He's going off-roading. We're going to get back on the trail here. Now, young dragons, they tend to have a very, very long tail. I believe for the most part that has to do to their, it helps them out living in the trees, in the canopy. It's not a prehensile tail, but it does provide a lot of balance. It's also a very good defense mechanism, as we saw a little earlier with one of his brothers, was giving me a good whack. Now, as these guys grow and mature, I'm not sure exactly how it happens, but their body length starts to even out, or their snout to vent length, which is basically his nose to here, it starts to even out in length with the tail. Yeah, I think he's falling in love with the smell of rock squirrels. He wants to keep going this way. We have lots of rock squirrels in this little cactus garden here. I wouldn't doubt if he's doing a little hunting right now. It's going beyond curiosity.
Can you tell us if Komodo dragons are endangered?
Are Komodo dragons endangered? Yes, they are. With the IUCN Red List, they are actually considered vulnerable. But when it comes down to it, these guys are only found on 5 islands in Indonesia. Indonesia is a vast country, about 13,000 islands. And of those 13,000, you only find Komodos in 5 of them naturally. And when you look at these islands, which I was fortunate enough to actually get to go to 2 of the 5 islands they're found on, Flores and Komodo, there's not a lot of usable space for a dragon. The actual island of Komodo has a lot of mountains, and these guys really don't like the elevations. They like a nice flat ground or gently sloping. But these volcanic islands, they start to go up in elevation pretty quick. And that's not great dragon habitat. So their actual usable land on these islands is pretty reduced. It's minimal. On the island of Flores, it's getting developed very quickly. Oh, we want to do a little running. So what happens is these guys are losing their habitat with development. climate change is causing the water levels to rise, so that usable land on, say, the island of Komodo is getting drastically reduced. And being only found on islands, it just takes one catastrophic event with an island, and all of a sudden you're down to 4 islands. Oh, this is going to be fun. I should have foreseen this one. That's a few more scratches from the plants. He is just loving this.
A few people are asking if there's such a dangerous species, how are you confident in handling him? And do you ever feel nervous that he might bite you?
Well, those are great questions about, in general, you know, if this is a dangerous animal, why am I not more fearful? And why am I not worried? Well, first of all, we've been developing a very nice working relationship. These guys, as I mentioned earlier, are incredibly smart. They know who's who, and because of that, we, just like working with any other person, any other thing, you try and have a nice, good working relationship. And with that comes trust. Now, he's still a wild animal, so it's not really good to use that word trust. He's a wild animal, and I need to respect that. When you work at a zoo and you work with wild animals and you work with them this closely, there's always a chance you might get a little nip here and there. Like I mentioned earlier, one of his brothers gave me a good bop on the finger with his tail. At the fact it's still stinging a little bit. It's just that tail or that tongue. It's just part of the arrangement. Now, the reason I can do what I do with this guy is because I do have some trust in him, though. We are working on things. We're getting to know each other. I'm sure this looks a little silly, but it's all part of the deal. Now, could he bite me? There's a possibility. These guys really don't want to do that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to be watching for certain behaviors. When they're not excited about something and they're getting quite nervous, they actually will cock that tail a little bit. They might get up on all 4 legs and almost like they do a push-up, and they'll hold that position. They'll stick their throat out. You might even vocalize a little bit, force some air through. They do a number of things that kind of let me know that I'm possibly crossing the line. And this guy's giving me all the signals here that I can kind of, to the extent of what I have been doing, do that quite a bit with him. I'm going to try and form a roadblock here. He really enjoys walking out here, but he doesn't really have a good steering wheel at this moment. It's like, oh, sunshine. If I give him shade, he tends to go up. He wants to go up here. I'm going to keep him away from these rocks because I'm not quite sure where there are some squirrel holes, and I think he could fit in them, and I'm not sure I'm going to get him out. So we're going to steer him clear of that.
Can you tell us a little bit about the dangers of a bite from a Komodo dragon?
Okay, what are the dangers of a bite of a Komodo dragon? Now, in the wild, they're notorious for having virulent bacteria and all kinds of junk in their mouth that could give you basically a raging infection. They have that to a degree in captivity. My understanding is that going through the legs, you sneaky lizard. That amount of, I guess, having a filthy mouth in a different way that we're used to. Sneaker. They, I guess, in captivity, it kind of cleans up a little bit. Needless to say, if he gave one of us a bite, we want to clean it out pretty good. It probably, if we don't clean it out, we could have a little bit of infection developing on there. Now, Komodo dragons have been proven to have a mild venom as well. But for these guys to actually get that venom in you, not only would they have to bite you, but they'd have to chew on you. I can't see a scenario where I'm going to let him chew on me. He might get me a nip at one point or another at this age. But we are not going to put him in a position where he could chew on me. He's got a lot of teeth in there. I think they got about 60 teeth. We're getting all tied up here. He's got about 60 teeth. They're slightly recurved backwards. In fact, the curved part is actually pretty wild. It's like a steak knife. And if they have a food item that is way too big to swallow whole, what they are going to do is they are going to grab a hold of it and then kind of rock their mouth back and forth with those teeth, and they work like steak knives. And eventually it'll look just like a cookie cutter. Come on, buddy. Let's take a walk over here. There we go. Oh, posing time. You can tell he's got that posing posture. The back legs go flat and spread out. This is such a big, exciting world to him. And he still loves cat's shoes. You can tell he's excited by how rapidly he's sticking his tongue out, in and out, in and out. He's picking up scent molecules, and they get deposited on his Jacobson's organ, on the roof of his mouth. It's like a little CPU, and it sends those results to his brain. And so by doing it rapidly, like he's doing right now, he's picking up that information so quickly. Basically, my interpretation, he's excited. He's having a great time. He's learning a lot, processing that. That's kind of how they learn to identify us, too. Us folks here that work with the animals, we may have the scent of many, many animals, but we're still going to have that overriding scent that, in my case, makes me Craig. Has nothing to do with my hygiene. Whether I shower or not, I'm going to have that smell of Craig. And these guys, in this case Max, he's learning that. Even our big dragons, they learn that. Our biggest dragon we have here is Bubba. He's our 26-year-old Komodo Dragon. He's a big dude. He's about 8 feet long, about 150 pounds. And Bubba knows who I am by sense of smell, also visually. Tiga, I had a great relationship with Tiga before she moved to Denver. In fact, I think we had a very special relationship. I was one of the few people she would actually let come over and give her a back scrub. So I felt special. She enjoyed it too. But we got to know each other, and she knew exactly who I was. As I said before, these guys are really, really smart. Eventually, Max will learn his name, just like his mother. When you called Tiga, she would come running, just like your pet dog when you're calling him in from outside. Well, something's got him excited.
Great. Can you tell everyone who's just joining in what we have here, how old it is, size, weight, those types of things?
Sure. For those of you guys that are just tuning in, this is Max. He's our 1.5-year-old Komodo Dragon. He hatched on Halloween of 2018. And one thing that we're expanding on are his walks. We've been doing this for a long time in the reptile house, and he's doing really well. And the reason we do it is because he's letting us. He seems to enjoy it. So that's what we're doing. We're doing something that he finds kind of exciting and interesting, and I find it kind of exciting and interesting as well. Now, if Max decides that, hey, I don't want to go for walks anymore, we're going to cut him out. This is his choice. He seems to really enjoy the stimulus, the sounds, the sights, the sense of smell. He's got very strong... Hey, buddy. He's got great senses. I think he's starting to sense to go places where I can't. He's loving sunshine. These are a diurnal lizard, and they love sunshine and they love the heat. And After we've started introducing outside with this nice warm sun, no matter how much great UV we give them through artificial lighting, nothing compares to sunshine. And that's one of the reasons we do so well here at San Antonio Zoo with Komodo dragons, because we can get them outside so much, at least the adults. Even in our so-called winter, there's a lot of days we can get them outside. A lot of northern zoos can't do that. So what Max is doing here is he's finding out that sunshine is very, very nice. And he soaks that up. He's making vitamin D3, and it makes him even healthier. I think he's learning what flamingos smell like. Heading over to the lemurs now. He's almost acting like a guest now, going from one exhibit to another.
Can you go over how large they'll get and what he eats?
Okay, some questions about how large they can get to be and what they eat. He's a youngster right now. He's about maybe 3.5 feet long. If he does indeed turn out to be a boy like we think he is, he could eventually get between 8 to 10 feet long, and he could weigh between 125 to 200 pounds on average. They have been known to get even bigger than that. As far as diet, they love anything that's meat. When our guys first hatched out, we gave them a high insect diet. We started mixing in young rodents, things like that. And as they got bigger, the rodents got bigger. We kind of eliminated the insects. Sometimes we still throw some dubia roaches or crickets in there. It's more for sport. They like to chase them around, but it's really not a lot of reward. So we're sticking to the bigger items. They get beef chunks. They will get sometimes fish. Basically, if it's meat, they will eat it. These are carnivores to the hilt. Now, as it gets bigger, that diet is going to keep on switching over to bigger items. In fact, their mother, Tiga, who now lives at the Denver Zoo, she would eat large rats. She would eat guinea pigs. She would eat small rabbits, chicken, quail, fish. In the wild, these guys eat a whole assortment of items, but their primary diet items in the wild are Timor deer. They'll eat wild hogs. They'll eat other dragons, which is kind of scary to think about, if you're a dragon lover like me, but it's part of the natural way for them. They'll even eat water buffalo. Now that's the biggest item they've been documented to eat, and that's got to be a challenge. That's a big animal. When I went to Komodo, I actually got to see a predation on a Timor deer, and it was quite an exciting moment. Not for the faint of heart. These guys, it was often thought that what a dragon will do in the wild is they bite onto the animal, and because of those virulent bacteria and other basically dirty mouth that they have, they track the animal for a couple weeks until it dies of a raging infection. Well, that's not really true. What they do is they will ambush the prey item. In this case, I saw a deer get ambushed, and with one very traumatic bite to the right quad of that deer, it immobilized the deer. And then from there, he waited a little bit, and then he decided to start eating it, chunk after chunk. These guys are kind of like a modern-day dinosaur. And even in the wild, it was amazing how they acted just like a carnivorous dinosaur. Predating on species there, how they consume them.
Is there a physical way to tell the difference between males and females?
It's a great question. Can you tell physically the males from the females? When they're young, it's very, very difficult. Like close to impossible. Which is why we're running blood tests right now at a lab to find out for sure that we have boys. Now, as they start to mature and get older, you will start to see a difference. Girls don't get anywhere near as big as the boys do. They don't have as big a head, the sheer size. They just don't get up to the males. In fact, all the females I've been around, whether it was in the wild or in captivity here at the zoo, they're usually 5 to 6 feet long at the max. A bit more slender. I'd almost say a bit more athletic. His mother was quite the athlete, and she was middle-aged, and despite that, she could still sprint across the exhibit and catch rock squirrels and vultures to predate on. Males, they get really, really big. They start to lose some of that speed. They still have explosiveness, so they rely more on the ambush, but that has a lot to do with their eventual size. At this point, though, it's going to be very difficult to tell the boys from the girls. Hopefully, in another month or two, we'll have those lab tests in, and we'll find out if we got boys and girls, and we're going to find out if there was a father involved. If there was a father involved, we know who it is. It's most likely Bubba from Houston. In fact, we're hoping to have some dragon dating this spring. With everything going on, it might be put on hold. But before all this, all the concerns and the shutdowns, we were actually on schedule to have Bubba from the Houston Zoo come here to take part in dragon dating with our new female, Christika. It's a species survival program recommendation to breed them. So we're pretty excited about that. Houston is too. So you'll have to stay tuned with us and see how things develop. If we do some dragon dating, I'm sure we're going to let everyone know. In fact, I think Christique even has a dating profile at this point. Bubba does as well.
Will these youngsters be part of SSP?
These guys, well, upon their hatching, they became part of the species survival program. Now, to what extent they will participate in it is to be determined. As of right now, it's a little bit unknown. In fact, some of the early signs show that these guys will be going to other zoos just to take part in exhibiting and educating people about Komodo dragons. Max is going to stay here with us. And part of that is completely selfish on my part. I'll admit it. But I love this guy. But we have another one that is, if everything goes well, should be moving to the Montgomery Zoo in Alabama in May. Another one of our kids is going to be, if all goes well, moving to the Sao Paulo Aquarium in Brazil. They don't have Komodo dragons there, so it's actually a great opportunity for dragons to reach out and show people how cool they are in a place where they haven't been yet. Check out those claws. Those are something else. That's why they're very good at climbing trees. And when he climbs on me, I'm very happy that we have tear-proof shirts. Well, he is just loving this out here. Cat, I don't know if you can pan in here where he actually shed some skin. You can see the brand new skin compared to the skin that hasn't shed off yet. Oh, and like that, we're on the go.
Nancy thinks he should model.
Nancy thinks he should model.
He is modeling.
Yeah, I think he's got what it takes, though. Not that I would know.
His blue steel is fierce.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds positive. I'm gonna run with it. He is a good-looking guy. Sure is a happy dragon, too.
Do you know about how much Max weighs?
Oh boy, how much does Max weigh? Let's see. Max?
Weigh him after this, so we can post it in the
I think he weighs maybe around 3 or 4 pounds at the most right now. You're being such a good boy letting me do that. I'm horrible at weights, though. You got some people that go fishing and they catch a fish and they, oh, that's a 2-pounder, and I can't do that. But I'm thinking he's about 3 or 4 pounds right now. So as I mentioned before, if he's a male, and he could easily get over 100 pounds, possibly even push 200 pounds. So it gives you an idea how much growing he has to do. Komodo dragons are considered the largest lizard species in the world. But here's a little twist. They are not the longest lizard in the world. Now that may not make sense to some, but largeness basically equates to how heavy they are, the sheer size and volume. Length is exactly what it is, length. And while I think the record for a Komodo dragon may have been around 10.5 feet, I can't give you specific because I'm horrible at remembering numbers. The longest species of lizard in the world is actually a relative of theirs. It's not too far away globally. It's the Crocodile Monitor. It's found in New Guinea. And the Crocodile Monitor can get maximum size, can get a couple feet longer than a Komodo dragon. But we're going a place I can't go. Let's go this way. They are longer than the Komodo dragon by a couple of feet, but they have a much slighter build. Even as adults, they live somewhat of an arboreal life in New Guinea. Oh, come on, buddy. He really wants to go in those bushes. Let's go over this way. There we go. You know, we talked earlier about having a good working relationship. So every time I have to pick him up, set him down, any type of very, very close interaction, I try and, despite him being a very tough animal, I try and be very gentle. He is learning who I am and what I'm about, and we want this all to be extremely positive. It's a very impressionable time right now. So always very, very gentle. I don't squeeze, nothing like that. Just support him. Just help guide him. And this is part of our, the beginning of our relationship.
Is your goal to continue being able to walk him even when he's larger?
Is our goal to continue walking him even as he gets bigger? Yes. We don't have really set goals at this point, but we're just going to keep on doing what he likes, see where it goes. If he turns out to be a very large dragon and still likes to go for walks, we're going to keep on doing it. My hope is that he is going to be a lot like Bubba. Bubba, our big adult Komodo dragon, is just a wonderful beast. We often kid, we can do whatever we want with Bubba. We don't mean that to sound disrespectful, but he's very tractable. He's just very relaxed with us, and it allows us to do medical treatments. In fact, Bubba gets acupuncture. He's got a better health plan than I do. We can just go in there and start let the vets do what they have to do for the acupuncture, and Bubba just kind of sits there. So these relationships that we start at a young age like this can really develop to where when it's something necessary for their health, it's not an added stress. It becomes a normal part of the day, and they allow us to do it because they feel comfortable around us. You're going to go where I can't go. Here, you want to go on the bench?
Komodo dragons get their tail damaged. Do they drop their tail, and can they regrow it if it were to happen?
No, they cannot regrow their tail. Now, this is actually one of their defense mechanisms. I talked about earlier, one of his brothers gave me a good smack, and it does hurt. It feels like getting hit with a bullwhip. And sometimes when they use that tail as a defense mechanism, and they whack it so hard, sometimes they'll lose the tip of it. And of course, if they do it again, they could lose the new tip and keep on going. So in a sense, if you got a very edgy dragon, you could actually have a dragon that's gradually becoming shorter. But they cannot regrow that. They'll just keep on losing it. If for some reason he had a very sick tail, like an infection of some type, and say he had to have part of it amputated, then we would just have a shorter dragon. This is his impression of a monkey. I'm going to take him away from the bear exhibits here. That makes me a little nervous. Yes, this is good practice for when I see my grandson. And he wants to keep seeing the bears. All right, I think we better start walking back towards the reptile house here. You can see he's kind of calm getting up high. Still got that instinct in him, being a youngster, that it's nice and safe up high. The way I'm holding him, I'm just supporting him. I'm not doing any squeezing or anything, and he's just nice and relaxed. In fact, this could spoil him too. He could start to figure out that I could just carry him. See if we can start steering.
What is their lifespan?
That's a great question. What is their lifespan? In captivity, the record, I believe, is, and I forget which one is which for the genders, but I believe 28 and 29. Which, if you remember me talking about Bubba, is 26. So Bubba's kind of flirting with those upper records there. Should be very interesting. Now in the wild, that is something that's still being figured out. In the wild, they don't really know for sure, but the Komodo Survival Program, which is the only group in the world that works with dragons in the wild, it's an Indonesian group. They have been studying these guys, I think 13, 14 years now. And with all this mark and recapture data, they're starting to fill in some of the blanks on just how old these guys could grow to be, how long they could live. And there was one male there when we caught him that they believe was pushing 40s. It was an older male, and he was starting to thin out a bit. You want to go get the air conditioning guy, don't you? So putting all this information together, the researchers there are starting to theorize that it's possible that males, which live longer than females, at least that's a theory as well, but they believe the males might be able to live into their 50s. It's going to take a while to keep on figuring this out. It's kind of interesting, that we still don't know that information. Usually that's something that's more like with tortoises, because tortoises can live hundreds of years. He wants to go back to the big Komodo Dragon exhibit. He's not ready for that yet. You're not ready for that. I know this is exciting. We got to go to the reptile house though. Yeah, we got to go to the reptile house. All right, guys. Well, I think we're going to wrap things up here. My toddler is getting a little restless. We're going to get him back to the reptiles. But I appreciate you guys tuning in to check out little Max here and all of our other little Pawsitivity film clips. It's great that we can still share our animals with you guys, even though we can't open the doors yet. We are looking forward to that day, though, when we can open the doors back up. In the meantime, keep on tuning in to to the San Antonio Zoo, our website, our Facebook page. We have all types of social media platforms that we're sharing our animals on to keep you in tune what's going on, keep you connected with us. If there's any way you guys can help us, we would surely appreciate that. It's been a little tough on us here at the zoo, taking care of all these animals and not allowing our guests to come in. So we have some ways where if you feel you can give us a helping hand, check out our website and check out our social media pages. And there's a multitude of ways in which you might be able to help us. Annual memberships, straight donations. We got a great adoptive animal programs going on. Well, not only do you get some information about the animal you adopted, but you get a nice little plushie. In fact, I'm a little biased. There's a great one with the Komodo Dragon, Bubba. Anyways, until our next Pawsitivity episode, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you tuning in.